from Radio Row in New Orleans, Louisiana. Super Bowl week, baby. Eagles and Chiefs rematch. Some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment will be right here. Put your seatbelts on and get ready for the ride. It's the Jake Asman Show.
Radio Row on a Friday. Jake Asman with you inside the convention center here in New Orleans. And joining us right now is a former member of the New York Jets. He was teammates with new Jets head coach Aaron Glenn. Ladies and gentlemen, former Jets DB Nick Ferguson joins the show. Nick, welcome aboard.
What's going on, guys? Let's go green.
I was talking to you off air. You're more synonymous with the other teams in your career you played for. But anytime I get a chance to talk to a former Jet, especially someone who was a part of some winning teams with the New York Jets, despite how bad it's been now, there was a point in time when the Jets actually were going to the playoffs and you were a part of some of those teams. I got to take it. So give the audience an idea on where you have been. I know you're a very successful broadcaster in the Denver area. I mean, you've had quite the career since leaving the Jets, Nick.
Yeah, I have. There's a lot of things that people really don't know about me that even if they research me, it won't show up on the Wikipedia page. One of those things is that even though I do radio in Denver on KOA, I've actually coached before. Coached with the 49ers with another former teammate of mine, of John Lynch, who's the GM. But also, I've had a chance to dip my toe into scouting. I did a scouting internship with the Broncos this summer, and that's how I know Darren Moogie, the new GM for the New York Jets.
So you're saying Moogie. We've heard Moogie. People have called him Moog. I mean, I've heard every different version of this guy's name. I mean, you worked with him. You know him. I mean, is it Moogie?
Well, okay, so that's kind of one of the things because around the facility, people would call them different things, right? So is it Moogie? Is it Mogie? All I know is Jets fans. I mean, you're getting a great guy who knows football. And you put that guy with Aaron Glenn. And I can tell you, Aaron is really passionate. If you saw his presser when he was introduced, he's showing his level of passion for the team. And he wants to get it back to where that standard is the standard. To get him back to a point where Jets fans can come into MetLife and actually root for a winning organization.
You were with the Jets for two different head coaches. You got to experience Al Groh 1 year.
Yes.
Take us back to that. I want to talk about your career because it's very fascinating, right? You get there in 2000. The team has a winning record. You don't make the playoffs, and Al Groh leaves. Take us back to what you were thinking when here you are with the team, and then all of a sudden your head coach is gone after 1 year.
Yeah, it's crazy because we had Al Groh. We called him Al Greasy. But Mike Nolan was there as well as our defensive coordinator. Mike Nolan lives in Denver, so I talk to him every now and again. And then Mike Tannenbaum and Bill Parcells were there. So to be around that core group of those guys, it was really fun. It was that instilled that we're going to go out there, we're going to compete. And then all of a sudden, we lose to the Raiders in the playoffs. Now everything's changed. Bill Parcells walks away, and then now Herman Edwards comes in. So it's a whole different regime, and you go from being like this hard, grimy, grit New York style with Bill Parcells to a more chill, laid back with Herman Edwards, because Herman Edwards had a certain way that he coached being around Tony Dungy. So for some guys, it was great because now the edges from a coaching standpoint were now a little softer. But, you know, what I learned under Parcells, it was something that carried forward with me to my career ended. And even before we came down here, you know, I texted Bill Parcells and said, hey, our guy, Aaron Glenn, got a job with the New York Jets, and he was really excited about that opportunity. So
he apparently got a call from Mike Tannenbaum because Tannenbaum helped the Jets interview candidates. He was involved in the process. He apparently called Parcells up before the process started, and he said, hey, Bill, I'm helping the Jets. Who would you hire if you were the Jets? And he said Aaron Glenn, and sure enough, weeks later, your former teammate is now the head coach of the Jets.
Yeah, you know what, and that wasn't something that happened by mistake, because Bill knows his guys, and he knows, you know, Aaron, because Aaron told a story about how when he finished playing, he was trying to figure out life, but everything was directing him back towards football. And he told, you know, Parcells that he wanted to coach. Parcells told him to do scouting first. So Parcells knows his players. And once again, when you play for him and you play well for him, you become one of his guys. So to see one of his guys who was drafted by him in this position with the Jets, it comes full circle. It's almost like family. It's like I look at it like the Blues Brothers, right? Maybe too old for you, but the whole idea is we're getting the band back together. So that's a great feel, and I'm really excited to see what they do in New York.
Now, you're with the Jets. 2001, Herm comes in. 2002 as well. I don't want to make you feel old, Nick, but the last time the New York Jets won a division title was that 2002 season you were a part of.
Yeah, it seemed so long ago.
That's how depressed we have been as Jet fans. They have not had a home playoff game since that 2002 season with that humongous win over the Colts where you guys completely trashed them and destroyed Peyton Manning.
41-0, right? I got my first interception in that game.
That's right.
I have the video still on my phone where I show my kids because my kids think that, you know what, Dad didn't really do anything in his playing days. But, exciting time. And that's why, you know, Aaron and Darren are trying to get this Jets team back to where they once were. And for me, I mean, this is a story franchise, right? And you think about the only Super Bowl was Joe Namath, right? When Joe Namath called his own shot. It is time to get the Jets organization back to where they need to. And I'm hoping that these two guys can help them.
When you were with the Jets, there's so much made of the New York media and the pressure and scrutiny, especially when you're with the Jets. Now, it's more magnified than ever before because of social media, and the playoff drought is the longest in sports now at 14 years. Do you think Aaron Glenn is built to be able to handle the slings and arrows that come with being the head coach of the NYJ?
Listen, Aaron played for Bill Parcells. And if you're playing for Parcells, there's a certain type of tough exterior you have to have, both outside and inside. And that goes with dealing with the media and knowing how to deal with the media. Because remember at his presser, I mean, they kept pressing him on the idea, well, what's happening with the quarterback situation? Is Aaron Rodgers going to be your returning starter? And he was like, look, I already told you guys this is an ongoing situation. And if I told you once, I told you twice, I'm not going to talk about it again. So he's already prepared. And I can tell you.
It was Parcellian, what it sounded like. Very Parcellian.
It is because Parcells had a very unique relationship with the media. He knew that they had a job, but if he can deal without them, he would. So Aaron understands the shoes that he's walking in, but also being around Dan Campbell with the Detroit Lions and seeing how Campbell actually handled himself. So,
and your guy, Sean Payton, as well. In New Orleans, he was there with him.
Yes, and I'm with Sean in Denver right now.
Yep.
And Sean has a different way to deal with the media opposed to how Parcells would actually deal with it. But Aaron is going to do fine. He's got a great group of guys around him to try to make things happen. Hey, Aaron, also, too, if you need some help with the Jet staff, holla at me. Let me know.
Let's go. We got to get you back on the coaching staff. I know there's been a bunch of former Jets that have reached out. Victor Green was interested in an opportunity on the staff. So it's been cool to see the Jet alumni really rally around Aaron Glenn because he's a Jet. He wanted the job. He's crazy enough to want to be the head coach of the Jets. He's taking it head on.
Yeah, you know what? That's wild because if you really think about it, okay, you were drafted in the first round by this team. Now this team has kind of disappeared from the sports landscape. Now you're coming back. That's a tough job. And doing it in New York City, like you can do it in Denver and be okay. But I always tell people in Denver, see, you guys think you're a tough media and you ask tough questions. No, you don't. The New York media is a whole different animal and a whole different beast. But I know Aaron is going to be prepared because sometimes, like playing for Parcells, not saying anything does you well. Because we don't want to give anyone any material.
That's right.
Exactly.
What was your favorite memory during your 3 seasons with the Jets? Is there one thing that you think about the most? Was it that interception against Peyton Manning in the playoff game?
No, it wasn't that. Believe it or not, it was Bill Parcells. I mean, I had just come over off the practice squad from the Buffalo Bills. And, you know, Bill is a very intimidating figure because he puts a lot of pressure on you. It was a conversation, an hour-long conversation that I had with Bill Parcells that changed my life as a player and as a person because he knew everything about my career leading up to that point. And he just told me, he said, look, if you dedicate yourself and you play this hard, you end up playing this game for 10 years.
Wow.
And that's exactly what happened. And it didn't really.
He saw something in you, right?
Yes. And that's the thing about Bill Parcells was also known for finding what they call diamonds in the rough. So I became part of that diamond in the rough that he found. And just like a polished diamond, I mean, things worked out for me because no matter what any coach said about me in my career, I always remember the conversation with Bill, and it kind of propelled me forward.
I mean, you look at your career, you obviously get your first real opportunity with the Jets coming off that Bills practice squad, but you bounced around before that. You really had to basically grind just to get the opportunity to get to the Bills practice squad in the first place. You were playing in the CFL, if I remember correctly.
Yes, played in the CFL and NFL Europe, and I think that was kind of the thing that drew Bill Parcells to me. my career embodied that whole New York grind, that New York way of life, because in New York, it's like, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere.
Was there a better feeling than when you guys were successful, when you guys were winning on some of those Jet teams you were on?
Man, it was the best feeling in the world. I mean, that playoff game against 41-0 against Peyton Manning.
And how about the previous week when you guys needed to get in and you get some help from the Patriots of all teams, and you guys destroy Brett Favre and the Packers just to get in, to the playoffs that year?
You know what? That's the great thing that I miss about New York City, and I reflect on my career, because even though I started on a practice squad in Buffalo, my career grew and flourished with the New York Jets. And there's a lot I owe to Al Groh, Mike Nolan, but more importantly, Bill Parcells, because if he never took me and plucked me off of the Bills practice squad, you and I would not be having this conversation.
Incredible. I mean, you've had quite the career. Obviously, you bounced around to several different teams. Broncos, end of your career, you were down in Houston. But in addition to being a broadcaster, you're here involved in something that's very important for, I think, every Jet fan to listen to. So please tell us all about your campaign here.
I'm here with Drug Free World, and it's Marshall, Falk, and myself. And we come out to these events because we know this is a big social grouping. You have different networks, and this is a great way to carry forward the message about drugs. And it's not just saying, hey, say no to drugs, but it's informing kids about what drugs can do to you. And I don't know how it is in New York, but right now in Denver, we have a huge issue with fentanyl. And the idea is to educate kids so they can go out and they can be aware, so they can make positive decisions, and they're not influenced by other things or other people. So, yeah, I mean, it's an organization that I've been involved with because I grew up around the drug culture. And the thing about it is the program is free. Now, most of these programs, you have to pay an exorbitant amount of money. With this one, you really don't have to do it. So drugfreeworld.org. If you need help, you need assistance, they got the education, they got the resources. All you have to do is hit that website, and they'll send the people out to you. Well
said. Awesome cause. And on behalf of every Jet fan that tunes into the show, we miss you, Nick. Thank you for what you brought to the organization, and hopefully with your old teammate now in charge, and Darren Mooj, whatever we're calling him, someone you know well.
We just call him Mooj.
Mooj.
Yes.
Whatever we call him, hopefully he's the right guy. Darren and Aaron can lead the Jets back to a division title, something you experienced when you were with the Jets, of course.
Yes. Let's get that done.
Jets, man. You know.
Jets. Absolutely.
He's Nick Ferguson. My name is Jake Asman. We're live from Radio Row here in New Orleans. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you keep checking out all the content live from Radio Row once again here in NOLA.